which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so Chelsea, can you do the roll call for us, please?
Yes. Commissioner Regnitz?
Here.
Ed Spinopoulos?
Here.
Paul Hegan? Bill Leard? Paul Nelson was going to join online, but I'm having technical difficulties, so
We keep trying.
we'll just... Okay. Okay. Scott Severson?
Here.
Councilman Vasquez?
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
I would like to make a motion in the absence of our president and vice president that we have Scott.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you, sir.
For the record, due to that absence, Scott will be the chair, temporary chair to run this meeting.
Okay. New business, docket number SM 260003. Is it Crins? Welcome. If you could just give us your name and address for the record.
Absolutely. So, my name is Kevin Koros. I'm with Associates, 952 South State Road 2, Valparaiso, Indiana, and I'm here representing Crins 5, of which I don't believe are here today.
This might be different.
They must have a lot of data for some reason. So, I will be talking on their behalf tonight.
Okay, all right, thank you. Chelsea, do you want to do a staff report and recommendation? Or would you want to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay. And then we'll have you respond or answer questions from the board. Thank you.
Yeah, so as stated on the agenda, the applicant is seeking after the fact approval for the construction of a building, installation of impervious material, and installation of a fence, and general site improvements within the drainage easement associated with Beatty Burglar Ditch. The applicant has partially constructed a building with drainage easement associated with Beatty Burglar Ditch. The amount of encroachment into the easement was not provided on the site plans, but based off of staff estimates, it appears that the buildings encroach approximately 5 feet into the easement. There are two buildings, one along the west property line the south property line, and one along the north property line as well. The applicant has also installed impervious surface, which is compacted gravel within the drainage easement. Detention for the increased runoff from the installation of that compacted gravel will be reviewed through the development review process. I apologize. I believe I left out that this project is currently undergoing the development review process through our department. So it is going through our development review program for approval. The buildings and the impervious surface do not appear to have impacted Beatty Burglar Ditch. However, if it is determined that the construction of the buildings and impervious surface have damaged the drainage infrastructure, then the applicant shall repair or reconstruct Beatty Burglar Ditch to the department's specifications as stated in the hold harmless agreement. The applicant has installed a 6-foot tall chain link fence with gates within the drainage easement associated with Beatty Burglar Ditch. The fence is located along the east perimeter of the property. Staff completed a site visit to review the placement of that fence and noted that it does appear to be within the drainage easement. Staff would like to note that if that fence needs to be removed to repair, maintain, construct, or reconstruct Beatty Burglar Ditch, then that fence removal shall be performed at the property owner's expense. The applicant is proposing to install a new 12-inch PVC storm sewer and storm sewer structure on the west side of the property to tie into the existing drain tile system that discharges to Beatty Burglar Ditch. That will be located within the 30-foot drainage easement associated with the Beatty Burglar Ditch. Such storm sewer will serve as the outlet for the detention basin. The detention basin and outlet storm sewer are located on the property south of the applicant's property. The applicant will need to secure the necessary authorizations as determined during the development review process from that adjacent landowner for the installation of the detention basin and the outlet storm sewer. Finally, the applicant is proposing to provide a positive drainage swale on the west side of the property within the 30-foot drainage easement to direct parking lot runoff to the detention basin. The swale will also include a 10-foot wide detention basin emergency grass overflow on the southwest portion of the property that will drain into Beatty Burglar Ditch. As shown on the erosion and sediment control plans, temporary perimeter sediment control will be installed around the work area to prevent sediment transport to Beatty Burglar Ditch. At this time, staff recommends after-the-fact approval for the construction of buildings, impervious surface, and fence, and approval of the installation of storm sewer and swale within the drainage easement associated with Beatty Burglar Ditch. The standard terms and conditions shall apply, including the execution of a hold harmless agreement between Porter County and the applicant. Additionally, staff is recommending that or requesting that the applicant contact the department at least 72 hours prior to the start of work within the drainage easement so that staff may be present during the performance of the work. Staff also notes that the applicant will need to obtain a fence permit and permits for any work conducted within the Porter County right-of-way, including a driveway permit from the Porter County Highway Department.
Thank you, Chelsea. Board members, any questions for?
I do have a question. So is any of this dependent on the approval or disapproval that is going to happen at the through the development review process that we would need to make this contingent?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I know that they have gotten fairly far within the development review process, so I don't foresee any substantial changes that would change this board's recommendation.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
According to the estimates which you gave, the staff gave, it's 5 feet encroaching into the easement.
Mm-hmm.
Will they hold the county harmless in regards to erosion and you have a collapse?
Yeah, so that hold harmless agreement is for any damages that the drain or the drainage easement may cause to their improvements, and that would include any damages to the buildings. So, but that is, we can work with the language with our attorney on any specific erosion language, or you can include that in the motion for to hold the county harmless on erosion damage caused to the building.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
What they're looking for, I think, is consent to violate the easement by 5 feet, and that has to be heard by the Stormwater Management Board tomorrow. And then the other thing is the outlet into the ditch. So I assume those are the recommendations that this board would make today.
It was, as I stated, the buildings, the installation of the impervious surface, the fence, the drainage swale, and the storm sewer.
So I have an additional question. By encroaching within the easement, I mean, obviously we have an easement for a reason. Do you foresee that that's going to create any difficulties down the road with regard to our drainage?
No, there's still a sufficient access route along the top of bank of the swale to be able to conduct any maintenance work necessary on the drain. And I guess one thing to note on here, you'll see on the screen that we don't have the regulated drain light blue shading on here, and that's because the easement that we're talking about was an easement that the previous property owners conveyed to the drainage board. It was not, so that's why it's not designated as a regulated drain and not shown as a regulated drain on our GIS map. But we still need authorizations from this board and the Stormwater Management Board to conduct work and discharge to a drainage easement granted to the drainage board.
The significance of this is
Can you
the significance of this is a lot of water comes out of the town of Wheeler and the property directly across the street. Used to be the athletic fields for Wheeler High School and are now under the Union Township trustees supervision. So that's why we're aware of it. And actually Ron Beatty, who started the building and owned several of the buildings, unfortunately he passed away, but he was the one who requested us try to figure out a way to get that water out and away from his commercial property.
I see.
So he was very cooperative.
Yeah.
And then it goes west and under 130 back into the stream along the landfill on the other side. So so we're fine.
Any other questions from the board for?
Just one quick question I have. The partially constructed building, when was that put there?
I'll let the applicant answer that.
I'm not sure when they put that in. We were brought in on board after they had already received their red tag from the stormwater department office. So
it's the current resident that's there now that put that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And we began this project, I believe, in the fall of last year. So it had to have been at some point before then.
Okay. Was there proper best management practices put in when they put that in, or did they have a contractor do that?
They were under the assumption that the contractor that they hired at the time had the proper approvals at the time, and which was obviously couldn't be farther from the truth. So at what point that got conveyed incorrectly between the owners and the contractors, we're not sure. But after they got hit with the red tag, they had to seek somebody like us out to help them through the rest of this process. So that's what we've been doing ever since. So at what point? I'm not really sure that happened. Again, it was before fall of last year. Because the one building on the southerly side had already been built in terms of the lean-to that you see out there now, and the north building was semi-frame, which I think it still is now too as well. So I can get into that a little bit more if you'd like, but those were the conditions with which we got brought on board with.
So Chelsea, how did you become aware of this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, can I call Paul Nelson? And Zoom isn't working, but I'm going to go ahead and give him a call.
Okay.
I'll answer that question. I apologize. Hey, Paul, this is Chelsea. I have you on speakerphone for the advisory board meeting here. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
That's right. I was like, wow, something's messed up here. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I ran through the staff report, and the question that I was asked is how I became involved with this. Some background for you, Paul. This is not a regulated drainage easement, but it is a drainage easement that was conveyed to the drainage board. So how I became involved is this went to the development review committee, which Kevin Brightsky sits on. When he saw the plans in this location, he recalled that there was this drainage easement in place here. So that is when it got caught that this needs to go in front of the drainage board, which then comes through our department and me.
Wow,
And actually,
it's amazing.
It was actually the BZA.
Or BZA. Okay, I apologize.
It's amazing that they gave the easement.
Because it wasn't a regulated drain.
Yeah.
At the BZA, Kevin had brought up that this was easemented.
Okay. Okay. I got involved at the development review committee meeting. I was asked to show up to that meeting. So, yeah.
Copy that.
Any other questions that the board has for Chelsea or the applicant?
I just wanted to clarify what portion is in the easement of what's on the screen right now.
So the easement is along the west and the north property boundary.
So I guess where that green dot is.
So everything, this is what Kevin had said. So everything in red here is
The building doesn't show up there.
Well, I guess what I just wanted to clarify and make sure that the board understands is, you see this right here, that's actually a shadow. That is, I don't know if that's
It's an antenna. Cell tower.
or some,
cell tower, correct?
and so that's within the easement.
That is
Yes.
the easement. And I don't know, and Kevin, I don't know if you know that was pre-current owner. We don't know if that was technically ever, that's not obviously maintained by the homeowner, it's maintained by the cellular company that owns the tower. I don't know what approvals that had gathered for its construction.
Where's the tower?
Well, the tower preceded all of this, but it's not impacting the easement. It's also
Correct.
It's basically a gravel area. I don't think any of the cabinets are elevated, but they're not in the.
Oh, so the cell tower is not in the easement?
No.
Oh, but
I believe it.
I think it is.
It is an easement.
Yeah, it
It
is
is
an
an
easement.
I mean, it's right, it's that.
Well, might be the GIS, but
Yeah, it just predated everything that
Chelsea, can you just show on there where the ditches that you're talking about?
Yeah, and if you go to page 8 on the tablets in front of you, that is the site plan. I think that will be easier for me to talk off of. And Kevin, I'll talk off of sheet C 1.0 on the submitted site plan.
2.0 is fine too, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we can go off of C 2.0.
C 1.0 might actually be easier.
You said page 8?
So yeah, we'll go ahead and scroll to page 9 total on the site plan. So you'll see the dashed line along the east 30 feet of the property. So it will be the east 30 feet here. Sorry, the west 30 feet here, and the north 30 feet along the north property boundary.
Which building is it then?
So this is not this is a 2023 aerial image.
Okay.
So the building was constructed sometime after 2023. So the existing building, you can see the little bit of earth disturbance here. So it's there, and then right up there.
All right.
And so that is shown on that site plan. They have the rough building footprint on C 2.0. There's a light gray rectangle with just a plain interior.
Is that what's listed as
The two existing building under construction to the north, and then existing building to the south.
Okay, all right.
So when it was flagged, it was just for stopping construction? Or
Correct.
Was there
yeah.
Yes.
And so the stormwater office periodically sends inspectors out to make sure that construction areas are permitted for, and this was something that they saw land disturbance work on that was not permitted for.
Yeah, this was through the building department, so constructing a building without a building permit.
And then it's one of the buildings, or both of the buildings are in.
Both of the buildings are
within 5 feet.
Chelsea's absolutely right. It's actually 5 to 6 feet.
Okay.
It's closer to 5 on one side of the north building, closer to 6 on the other side. On the southern building, basically the southwest corner of the building is on the easement line. The northwest corner is less than 1 foot over. But regardless, the drainage improvements are within that drainage easement.
Okay.
On the swale and the outlet structure.
Okay.
So, has all of that been remedied in the plan department because they didn't have a building permit? Did they subsequently get a building permit? Has it been,
I can speak more to that.
Sure,
if you want.
that's fine.
So Chelsea's absolutely correct. We've gone through pretty substantial review format already with the stormwater department office. So we have letters of conformance both from engineering and planning on this. Dave Champions was December 5th, and Susan Hales was something that I don't have with me, but it was hers was around that time too. So that's already been reviewed and approved through the stormwater department office. As part of the next step, and as part of Susan Hale's comments, we went through BZA to get a plethora of variances approved through there, of which is when Kevin flagged that this was an easemented area. So we had dug into that process of it. During that meantime, we've worked with the south neighbor. We do have legal descriptions and pro forma documents ready for easement approval with them. So that part's already been taken care of as well too. So that is as part of that list of items to check off our checklist. This was the next one. And we had some discussions, I don't remember if it was between Kevin and I or between Chelsea and I or between the three of us about how we would handle this regarding an easement reduction or the request to just go into the easement itself. My suggestion was to go this route into the easement itself so that the county still keeps their full dedicated easement width assigning the hold harmless for a number of different possibilities that could obviously happen because of that. The easement reduction didn't make much sense because there was no reason to take easement area away from the county. Just knowing that if anything were to happen to this property in the future, at that time, if improvements were made and those buildings were torn down, new buildings would then have to be constructed outside of that easement, or they would be approved for new encroachments.
Normally, we don't operate that way, but consent to encroach seem to make the most sense for it. We do that rarely, but there are occasions that may
And
require.
so will we have better documentation then of the easement so that should those buildings in the future be removed, that everybody's aware that that exists, so that'll all.
Yeah, so our department is now aware of this easement, and then also it's monumented on the plat that they put together and
Okay.
they put
All right.
this project.
He still needs to come back to development review for a site plan approval.
Okay.
And you're just really close, but there were a lot of steps along the way, mostly because previous owner skipped everything.
So any other questions from the board for Chelsea or the applicant? Okay, so we have a staff recommendation, and I think the recommendation here is lists everything of concern as far as hold harmless, etc. So I would, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a,
Or were you making the motion, or you want?
yes. Well, no, we looking for a motion. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendations. After the fact approval for the construction of buildings, impervious surface and fence. For the approval of the installation of storm sewer and swale within the drainage easement associated with the Beatty Burglar ditch.
And second. Oh, I'm sorry.
With hold harmless. Just add that in there. Okay.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
He did include the hold harmless of the county.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Trust.
So any other further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. And then Chelsea has a standard term and condition.
Yeah, so this will be presented at tomorrow morning's Stormwater Management Board meeting. You're welcome to attend, but it is not required for you to attend. The final approval letter will be issued after we receive the executed hold harmless agreement back from the applicant. All right, thank you, Kevin.
And I won't be here tomorrow.
Yeah, not a problem. Of course.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, so
Always. It's okay with you, Barb, isn't it, if he's not here?
Yeah, it's okay. The two of us will be there tomorrow, so.
no, I have both permissions, so that's all.
You do.
Thank you, guys.
Mine too.
All right, next item on the agenda, Stormwater Program Manager's Report. Chelsea?
Yeah, so just want to go through a couple of items with you guys this evening. Kind of go through these couple of bullet points. If you have been here in the county for the last, we'll say 45 days, you'll notice it has rained a lot through that. With that, the review of our Q1 and Q2 drainage concerns received, and then a project update. So Melissa, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So just a recap of March 2026. So this is rainfall data from the National Weather Service and NOAA. The color coded that you see on your screen, this is the percent of normal rainfall that we have received. So the darker blue shading is 200 to 300%. The lighter blue shading is 150 to 200% of normal. The normal amount of rainfall we should receive in the amount of March or precipitation. So even if it were snow, that would be snow water equivalent, but it's 2.44 inches. The observed throughout Porter County was 4.1 to 7.4 inches of rain in the month of March. And then if you go to the next slide, so March 30th to April 13th, this was another very wet period, 2-week period. Again, the same color coding, the darker blue is 200 to 300% of normal, lighter blue is 150 to 200% of normal. The normal depth of precipitation is 1.66 inches. The observed 2.5 to 4 inches. Melissa, next slide, please. And then this is from the last week, April 13th to April 20th. Now we're getting some a little bit better colors on the screen that are not so ominous. Dark green is 125 to 150%. Light green is 110 to 125% of normal. Our normal rainfall amount for that week typically is 0.85 inches of rain. We receive between 1 and 2 inches. So if you do the math, on the high end, we have received over 13 inches of rain in the last 45 days. On the low end, we're right about 9 inches of rain. So as you're driving around and as you talk to people, they're like, I have this standing water in my backyard, or it seems like it's really wet. It's because it has been. So certainly not understating any issues that we have seen or received reports on, but just want to also keep that in mind. And a public education piece on, my yard is really soggy right now. Yeah, that's to be expected because of the amount of rainfall that we have received. But if we see those really large areas of standing water that have not receded at this point, then okay, there's something else going on, or maybe that's something that we want to take a look at resolving in the future, depending on the severity and the impact that standing water has. I do know the Kankakee River did reach moderate flood stage. That was, let me think about this. That was April 6th is when it reached moderate flood stage. Luckily, we did not receive the amount of rain that they were calling for over shortly after Easter weekend and the weekend of the 11th. Otherwise, I think we could have reached major flood stage. But so far, we have fared fairly well. Our infrastructure has been able to handle the rainfall that we have seen. And I think one thing to note too, and as you watch the news, if you're a weather nerd like I self-proclaimed am, they will talk about how this pattern that we've seen is nothing like you typically see in March and April. You're seeing these really heavy downpours, really high atmosphere moisture contents. So you're seeing it in these really heavy bursts of rain, and our infrastructure just is not able to keep up with that. But like I said, we have seen that water start to recede. The water has drained down. But when you see those large puddles in the roads, then here's why. But we have been grateful to our staff that we've been able to respond to this, keep an eye on things, and be able to monitor the conditions throughout the county.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm consistently in the dark purple area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we're getting a lot of rain, but my chickens are now ducks. But the interesting part to me, though, is the fields aren't flooded.
Yeah. So I think one thing that has really helped us is that the previous really couple of years we've been at least abnormally dry, or at least somewhere on the drought monitor. So those soils have had some capacity to be able to soak up all the rain.
So the aquifers are getting refilled a little bit better.
Yes, yeah. So now if we continue on this pattern, I think we'll see.
Oh yeah, I've seen pumpkins float in my field.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to really see some issues, but hopefully we can get a couple week stretch of dryness.
So Chelsea, like we replaced the roof on the jail, which is a major deal. And it's nice when we have these heavy rainfalls because it exposes vulnerabilities and we can get the roofers back and they, now they have to trace back to where do we have something similar with stormwater when we have unusually large rainfalls that expose vulnerabilities in the system that you might not normally be able to catch, but because of that unusual amount of rainfall that it identifies sometimes some things that you might not normally have caught?
Yeah, I think that's a interesting question and a good question. So I think the vulnerabilities that we would see. So let's say we have a storm sewer in poor condition with a void. So it's corrugated metal pipe. I know one concern that we've received: corrugated metal pipe. It rusted through. We got these really heavy downpours, so that pipe is flowing full, which typically it would not.
Right.
So you saw a sinkhole form because you had so much water moving through it so quickly, so it exacerbated the condition. So now that was an issue that we had known about. previously, and we're working towards a resolution on. But yeah, I think that there are definitely points where these heavy rainfall events do kind of expose some underlying problems, whether they were known and it's like, okay, I think that we have some time, to where it's, oh, well, now we don't have any time, to this is something we didn't know about before. And I think it also helps highlight, like Andy was saying, that you typically have these areas where you see standing water. And, it's like, okay, for me on my drive into work, it's like, all right, I can tell if we've had a little bit of rain. It's like, oh, that area typically has a little bit of water. Then I can tell if we have a lot of rain, because it's like, there's normally not water standing there. We must have gotten a lot. So, yeah, I think that helps too. So then kind of going into the next slides, talking about the drainage concerns that we received in Q1, so January 1st through March 31st, we received 37 drainage concerns. Honestly, the first part of the year was pretty dry, so fairly quiet. Leading up to March is when we got most of these. 15 of those concerns have been closed out, whether a project being completed to resolve the issue or it was not an issue that the stormwater department could resolve, whether through jurisdiction issues or it was something that was not a priority for the stormwater department. One example would be like a small puddle in someone's backyard. That's not something we're going to do a project to complete. 4 of those concerns were in review for violations. So whether a violation with development, one is work within a regulated drainage easement that I'm currently working with a property owner on before they come in front of this board, and also code enforcement issues. 11 of those concerns were forwarded onto the highway department to assist with the resolution within the road right of way, and 7 of the concerns are currently open or in review for a project and active monitoring. So that project is underway to resolve or in the planning and design process or monitoring for erosion and sediment control compliance. If you go to the next slide.
I think what's important here, Chelsea brought up the intensity of the storm events we're having now. That increases the amount of erosion we have, because the water's running across so fast and the impact so hard, it really dismantles all that soil, and that ends up blocking a lot of things and creating more maintenance for them.
Yeah.
And highway.
Yeah. And then the data that I have for Q2 is April 1st through April 8th, so a week. And in that week, we received 19 drainage concerns, so over half of what we received in the first quarter. And 5 of those concerns were closed. A project was completed to resolve the issue, or again, not an issue for the stormwater department to resolve. 2 concerns were in review for violation. 7 of those were forwarded onto the highway department, and then 5 of them are currently open, underway for a project or monitoring for erosion and sediment control compliance. So, it's just kind of a review of all the drainage concerns that we've received. And I think this first week of April, it was obviously a very heavy week, and kind of to be expected with the amount of rain that we got. But I would say in the last couple of weeks that we're still getting quite a few, but certainly not the 19 a week.
So the creative, beautiful things that you did, like in Sherwood Forest, did you go back to see how well it stood up when all the rain came through?
I still need to get back to Sherwood Forest to take pictures to show how well that has held up. We just have had other things, but yes, I'm going to get back out there to show, like, here's the amount of erosion that we would have seen, and here it has held up really well.
That was always the hardest thing, to get back to those projects, although the temptation was go back to see how well we did. But get so busy with other projects, and it's all consuming sometimes.
Yeah. So then that'll lead me into the next kind of creative project that we're working on. So this is the Bridlewood Subdivision Ravine Restoration Project. I talked about this, I believe, at last month's meeting, and I know for sure at the last month's Stormwater Management Board meeting. But just a quick refresh in case if I didn't. This is a smaller ravine within the Bridlewood subdivision. So unlike the Sherwood Forest project, we are using all riprap to create the step pools here, and that's because the amount of fall from the storm sewer outfall to the outlet of the ravine is not as significant as what we saw in Sherwood Forest. So we don't have as high of velocities, and we don't have as high of grade we're trying to make up with those step pools. So this is a picture that was taken at the end of March from the start of construction. I know this isn't the best photo showing what those step pools look like, but you have a series of pools formed in this riprap to help step the water down approximately every foot. If you go to the next slide, oh, you're fine. So we are almost halfway complete with this ravine restoration project. One thing that we have encountered is some significant groundwater intrusion and undermining. So we got about to that halfway point, and as they were excavating out for the step pool, and we also had a groundwater seepage conveyance system that that the contractor was installing. They noticed that the ground was bubbling up. So that has caused a lot of undermining and instability of the side slopes and also the bottom of the ravine. So we are going to implement an engineered seep for a section of the project. So what that will entail is some geograde on the bottom along the subgrade, and then there will be larger riprap revetment, and then we will have the step pool go on top of that. So basically creating like an undercut. If any of you are
So what is the geogrid made up? Do you have a picture of what that looks like?
I do not have a picture of what geogrid looks like, but you know, like the orange snow fencing to where it's like the hexagon plastic.
Yeah.
It's basically a really strong material that's in that pattern.
Okay.
So what that allows for is it helps bridge the gap and create a little bit more surface area for all that rock to be able to sit on and add some additional strength to the bottom. And then there will also be some tree trunks that will be driven into the side slope to help provide additional stability to that side slope. If you go to the next slide, Melissa, here's the picture. There should be a play button on that picture. Maybe.
Come on.
Okay, you might if you just click on the picture, it might do it. Oh,
It's down below.
there we go.
It's all the arrow.
So if you go hover over the picture, sorry.
Right there, isn't it?
No, over to
Down at the bottom left of the picture. No,
there you go.
Oh, that guy.
Right there.
thank you. So here you can see the video. It's kind of zooming in on that bubbling effect that you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that is all groundwater, and then you can see that very fine gray soil. That's the really poor soil quality that we are seeing here at the bottom of
What
the.
do I think of the Beverly?
So
Like-
that's what we'll
like muck.
Yes, kind of like muck, clay, silty.
And that's not unusual here. We have what are called sand seams throughout the area. And if we overdig something, then it'll come bubbling up from below because a lot of times this clay will kind of cap it and hold the water down.
Uh-huh.
But so many times the temptation is just to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And we break.
Got to go somewhere.
Speaking to the geogrid, we can drive over the geogrid typically, so it's very stabilizing. Good material.
Yeah, and I know. So one thing that was not anticipated is we were not doing a lot of excavation at this point. Majority of the project was fill. So then, as we got through. Sorry, I guess I lost Paul. So then, as we got through this portion of the project, it just really wasn't anticipated to have this amount of groundwater here. But we're going to work through it, and then the amount of rain that we had has also not helped with that.
I was going to say, with seasonal high water table right now.
Yes, exactly. So, that's the program update that I have, and then just continue to work through the several outstanding projects that we have. We have awarded the contract to Garrio Construction for the Rolling Meadows storm sewer replacement project. Pre-construction meeting will be next week for that, so we should be getting that kicked off and completed here in this summer.
Great. Thank you, Chelsea. Any other questions from the board for Chelsea? All right. Well, thank you very much for your report, and thank you to you and staff for all your work.
Of course. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Discussion. Next item on the agenda, discussion, general discussion. Anything that the board wants to bring up or anybody from the public? All right, seeing none, then we will go on to our next meeting. Our next meeting is May 11th. We are in recess.
Good job.